Imagine a world where human history as we know it is completely wrong. What if the museums, the textbooks, and the experts have been holding back some of the most astonishing finds ever made? For centuries, our understanding of human history has been built like a sturdy brick wall, each brick carefully placed, each layer representing a distinct era. From the first crude tools of our ancestors to the towering achievements of modern civilization, it's a story we've all learned. But what if there are bricks that simply don't fit? What if there are objects so out of place, so perplexing, that they threaten to shatter the entire wall? This isn't just about a few misplaced artifacts. It's about a hidden history, a collection of discoveries so controversial, so mind-bending, that mainstream science often refuses to even look at them. Tonight, we're diving into the shadowy world of forbidden archaeology, exploring finds that have been ignored, dismissed, or simply locked away. Because they challenge everything we thought we knew about where we came from. Prepare to question the foundations of our past, because some secrets are too big to stay buried. Forbidden archaeology isn't some fringe concept cooked up in a back alley. It's a term coined by researchers like Michael Cremo and Richard Thompson in their groundbreaking and highly controversial book, which meticulously detailed hundreds of anomalous findings from around the globe. At its heart, forbidden archaeology deals with discoveries that simply don't fit the accepted timeline of human evolution and civilization. These aren't just oddities. They are pieces of evidence that suggest sophisticated human-like activity or even modern human presence in geological eras when, according to our current understanding, we shouldn't have even existed. The core impact of these finds, if they are genuine, is nothing less than a complete rewriting of our history books, throwing into question centuries of scientific consensus. Imagine finding a smartphone in a dinosaur fossil bed. That's the level of disruption we're talking about. The problem is, when confronted with such profound contradictions, the scientific establishment, often represented by our most esteemed museums and universities, tends to react with skepticism, sometimes bordering on outright denial. These so-called forbidden finds often surface in the most unexpected places, unearthed from rock formations or geological layers that are millions of years old, contexts that flat out defy their supposed age. These are objects that appear to be man-made or human remains, found embedded in strata so ancient that they contradict everything we understand about the timeline of human evolution. You'd think such discoveries would spark a frenzy of investigation, but more often than not, the institutional response is silence, dismissal, or outright rejection. Why? Because these artifacts are what we call out-of-place artifacts, or OOPArts, and they create a very uncomfortable situation for anyone trying to maintain the established narrative. The reasons for their rejection fall into a few common categories. First, they are often immediately labeled as hoaxes. It's the easiest way to make an inconvenient truth disappear. A quick accusation of fraud, and suddenly, the object is no longer a mystery to be solved, but a lie to be forgotten. Second, if a hoax can't be proven, they might be attributed to misinterpretations. It's not a tool, it's a strangely shaped rock. Or, those aren't footprints, they're just erosion patterns. This is where careful scientific scrutiny is supposed to come in, but proponents of forbidden archaeology argue that this scrutiny is often one-sided. designed to uphold the status quo rather than genuinely investigate. And perhaps most frustratingly, many of these findings are simply dismissed without rigorous investigation at all. They're too weird, too problematic, too disruptive to existing theories, so they get swept under the rug, gathering dust in museum basements or private collections. Far from the public eye, and even farther from proper academic analysis. The primary reason for this mainstream rejection boils down to one monumental issue. These finds conflict directly with established timelines of human evolution. Our understanding of human history is deeply rooted in Darwinian principles, a narrative that paints a clear, progressive picture of our development. We have defined periods: the Stone Age, where early humans crafted crude tools, the Bronze Age with its metalwork, and the Iron Age, leading us closer to modern civilization. This narrative, while incredibly detailed and supported by vast amounts of evidence, has very specific dates for when certain levels of technology and intelligence emerged. The problematic nature of forbidden finds is that they suggest the presence of sophisticated artifacts or even human-like remains in geological contexts that are vastly, incredibly older than modern humans are supposed to be. We're talking about human-made objects, or anatomically modern human skeletons, found in strata millions of years old, not thousands. This isn't a small tweak to the timeline. It's like someone just dropped a wrench into the gears of an intricately designed clock. Such discoveries are fundamentally incompatible with the accepted narrative. If truly ancient humans were crafting complex tools, or if human ancestors existed alongside dinosaurs, then the entire evolutionary sequence we've painstakingly mapped out collapses. It would mean rewriting every textbook, reevaluating every exhibit, and potentially undermining the life's work of countless scholars. The sheer scale of that disruption makes these findings exceptionally difficult for the mainstream to embrace. Let's look at some specific examples that have stirred up a whirlwind of debate. One of the most famous is the London hammer, not the city, but a hammer found in London, Texas in 1934. It's a fairly ordinary-looking hammer with a wooden handle, but the extraordinary thing about it is that it was found encased in a solid chunk of rock. That is geologically identified as Cretaceous period rock, dating back over 100 million years. Think about that for a moment. 100 million years ago, dinosaurs roamed the earth. Modern humans, Homo sapiens, are believed to have only appeared in Africa around 300,000 years ago. So, how did a clearly man-made tool get cemented into rock from an era when not even our earliest ape-like ancestors were supposed to exist, let alone tool-wielding humans? Proponents argue it's undeniable proof of ancient, advanced civilizations, or at least humans far older than science admits. Skeptics, on the other hand, suggest it's a geological anomaly, perhaps a modern hammer that fell into a fissure and was then cemented by mineral deposits. Though the complete embedding makes this explanation difficult for many to accept. But the image of a hammer from our present, trapped in the deep past, is a powerful one. Then there are the supposed human footprints found alongside dinosaur tracks in the Paluxy Riverbed near Glen Rose, Texas. For decades, researchers have been documenting tracks in this ancient riverbed, undeniably belonging to dinosaurs. But among them, Some individuals claim to have found clear, distinct, human-like footprints. These aren't just vague indentations. Some appear to show 5 toes, an arch, and a heel. If these are truly human footprints, it means humans were walking around the same time as dinosaurs. A period when, according to the accepted timeline, early mammals were still tiny creatures, certainly not bipedal hominids. The scientific community has largely dismissed these as erosion patterns, faked prints, or even clever carvings. But for those who have studied them closely, the patterns and sequences of some of these prints are uncannily human, posing a massive challenge to our understanding of prehistoric life. And it's not just hammers and footprints. We also have reports of ancient artifacts discovered within coal seams and other incredibly old geological formations. Imagine finding finely crafted metallic spheres, some with intricate grooves, or even what appear to be tiny, intricate springs, all pulled from solid coal or rock formations that are millions of years old. In some cases, miners have reportedly unearthed elaborate carvings or even entire metallic vases embedded deep within strata from the Precambrian era, which goes back billions of years. How could complex manufactured objects end up in such ancient rock? The mainstream explanation usually involves geological processes causing modern objects to sink or be redeposited, or simply misidentification of natural formations. But the sheer number of these anecdotal accounts, combined with the detailed descriptions of some of these objects, makes it harder and harder to dismiss them all as simple mistakes or hoaxes. Each one is a whisper from a time we thought was empty of human ingenuity. So why the hesitation from the scientific community? It's not just stubbornness. There are several contributing factors that make scientists wary. Firstly, there's a very understandable caution regarding fraud. Archaeology has a long history of hoaxes and misinterpretations, from Piltdown Man to various elaborate fakes. Scientists are trained to be skeptical, and they have to be. No one wants to stake their career on a discovery that later turns out to be a fabrication. The academic world is incredibly competitive, and a single mistake can damage a reputation irrevocably. This leads to the second point, reputational risk. Challenging established consensus is not for the faint of heart. A young archaeologist proposing that humans lived alongside dinosaurs would likely face ridicule, struggle to get funding, and find it difficult to publish in peer-reviewed journals. There's a powerful incentive to conform to accepted theories, even if it means overlooking inconvenient data. It's a human tendency, not necessarily malicious, but a pragmatic one. Thirdly, the demand for evidence to overturn centuries of accepted theory is enormous. You can't just present one strange object and expect paradigms to shift. You need an overwhelming volume of independently verified, rigorously analyzed data. The scientific method demands reproducibility, peer review, and a clear chain of custody for artifacts. A single extraordinary claim requires extraordinary proof. And this brings us to the most common weakness of many forbidden finds, of lack of rigor. Many of these discoveries are made by amateur enthusiasts, prospectors, or miners, often without proper archaeological supervision. The exact geological context might not be meticulously documented, the excavation process might be flawed, and the chain of evidence can be broken. Without the kind of painstaking, methodical documentation that professional archaeology demands, even a truly anomalous artifact can be easily dismissed. Because its provenance, its history of ownership and discovery, is questionable. It's a bit like a detective trying to solve a crime with no fingerprints and a foggy eyewitness account. Despite these valid concerns, proponents of forbidden archaeology raise some incredibly important questions about the very nature of scientific inquiry. They critique what they see as the rigidity of scientific paradigms. Is science, which should be about open-minded exploration, becoming too dogmatic, too resistant to new ideas that don't fit neatly into existing boxes? They highlight the potential for scientific bias, arguing that scientists, like all humans, can be influenced by their beliefs, their careers, and the pressure to uphold established truths. It's a sobering thought. Could the very system designed to uncover truth sometimes inadvertently hide it? This perspective emphasizes the critical importance of open-minded investigation. If an artifact genuinely challenges our understanding, shouldn't it be given the most thorough, unbiased examination possible, regardless of how uncomfortable its implications might be? For forbidden archaeology advocates, these discoveries aren't just curiosities, they are potential keys to reshaping our entire understanding of human history and evolution. They suggest that our story might be far more complex, far older, and far more mysterious than we ever dared to imagine. What if advanced civilizations rose and fell millions of years ago, leaving behind only tantalizing clues that we refuse to acknowledge? This is the core of the debate, the moment where scientific caution clashes with the possibility of revolutionary insight. The broader implications of this debate are profound. On one hand, many of these finds face accusations of fraud and misinterpretation, and quite rightly so in some cases. It's crucial not to fall for every sensational claim. But on the other hand, proponents argue that outright rejection without thorough, objective examination actually hinders scientific progress. If the scientific community automatically dismisses anything that challenges the status quo, are we truly pursuing truth, or are we just defending our existing beliefs? This debate highlights the complex, sometimes tense, relationship between scientific inquiry and historical narratives. Science is supposed to be self-correcting, constantly evolving as new evidence emerges. Yet, when that evidence threatens to upend entire fields of study, the resistance can be immense. It reflects a very human propensity, our tendency to construct narratives that make sense of our world, and our occasional reluctance to dismantle them, even when faced with compelling new information. Are we ready to confront a past that looks radically different from the one we've been taught? These forbidden finds, whether ultimately proven true or false, force us to ask these difficult questions, pushing the boundaries of what we believe possible, and inviting us to imagine a history far stranger and more fascinating than any textbook has ever told us. The quest for truth never ends, and sometimes the most profound answers are found in the places we least expect. If you found this journey into forbidden archaeology as intriguing as we did, then make sure to click on the video popping up on your screen right now for more untold stories of our past.